Hello Year 5. Hopefully this will be your last remote learning reading skills lesson. And we're going to finish off our text, What If It Happened Today? Pause the screen and write today's date and vipers, circling the E for explain and the R for retrieval in your reading skills books, please. So we're going to start off by having a little look at one of the maps in the text. It says here is a map showing the area of Old London, which was scorched, that means burnt, by the Great Fire. In total, 436 acres, that's 1.76 square kilometres, burned over 4 days. So you can see the city wall is like that outline of orange around the edge. And you can see the affected area, so it got outside those city walls as well. And then you've got the points of interest. So you've got St Paul's Cathedral and the Tower of London there, and Pudding Lane, which is where the fire started in Thomas Farriner's bakery, the bakery to King Charles II. So I thought it might be quite fun this morning to go onto Google Earth and have a little look at what London looks like today. So I'm going to just show you St Paul's Cathedral and how it's been rebuilt with its dome and its spire. But you're more than welcome to have a look and see if you can find Buckingham Palace, maybe head to Pudding Lane and Tower of London. So let's head over to St Paul's Cathedral. So this is St Paul's Cathedral, how it's built today. Just take you a bit further down so you can see there's its dome and its beautiful spire, all rebuilt out of brick. And I'm just going to take you a bit further down the street because you can see all of this area was affected by the Great Fire of London in 1666, and when it was rebuilt in stone so that they didn't have the same devastation as they'd had before. So feel free to go on to Google Earth, have a little look around and see if you can see some other points of interest in London and see what it looks like today. We're going to carry on looking through our text now. If we scaled up the affected area by multiplying it by 98, because remember from yesterday's lesson, that's what they were doing. They said it was 98 times bigger. We can have a better understanding of how destructive the fire really was. We'll be able to see the size of the equivalent affected area in our modern capital city. Equivalent means the same. The Great Fire destroyed about 1/9 of Old London. How large an area would be hit by a fire which reached 1/9 of modern London? The answer is a staggering 172.5 kilometres squares. Have a look on the map below to see what an area of that size would look like if the fire spread in a similar shape to the Great Fire of London of 1666. So you can see how far it would spread if that was today, so how much it would take over London. While it's almost impossible to accurately work out how many buildings and people would be affected by such a large modern fire, the map does suggest that maybe 10 London boroughs would be affected. All of Camden, that's 246,000 people, and the city, 9,400 would be destroyed. Half of Westminster, which they think would be about 123,800. Brent, 166,100. And Hackney, 136,800 would burn to the ground. From the other 5 boroughs, Kingston, Chelsea, Tower Hamlets, Hammersmith and Fulham, Haringey and Barnet, as many as 372,300 people could lose their homes. That's a total of 1,052,400 people that could be homeless if a fire hit modern London on the scale of what it hit in 1666. this data is really hard to imagine in our heads. How else could we show this data in like a clearer way? I think in a table, and that's what you're going to do in one of your questions today. You're going to need that information and put it in the table. It's important to remember that these figures are estimates. With our modern fire service and better town planning, meaning that we've rebuilt London out of brick, hopefully fires even a fraction of the size of the modern blaze would never happen. However, realising how destructive fire can be is a great catalyst for helping us to treat it with the respect and care it deserves. That sentence just means that the knowledge we have about fire and how it could affect things makes us respect it and understand how to deal with it. So there's no need to worry. This author has scaled up this fire to try and help us imagine how destructive it was in 1666, rather than just thinking, it's just a fire that hit London, how catastrophic it was, how awful it was. But nowadays we've got fire service, we have fire safety regulations, so we have to make sure that things don't burn quite so easily. And a fire of this magnitude, this size, would never happen nowadays because we are so much more aware of how fires spread and how to put them out. So, your questions today. I'm going to scroll down this page, so you might want to pause the screen once I've sort of shared these questions and then unpause it and scroll down with me. So question number 1 is an explain. Why does the author find the area of modern fire by multiplying the area of the old fire by 98? So why have they done that? Why have they multiplied the old fire by 98? And then you're going to copy and complete the table showing the 10 London boroughs which are affected in the modern fire and the number of people predicted to be made homeless in each. So this is that paragraph where I was reading you all the data. You need to fill in this table. You need to tell me how many people would be made homeless in Camden, the City, Brent, and then Kingston and the other boroughs. And there's 2 boroughs missing for you to fill out. So do you want to pause the screen there and do those 2 questions? And then move on to the last 2. So 2 vocabulary questions. What does the word staggering tell you about what the author thinks of the size of a modern fire? So what's that staggering mean? And what does it mean? What does it mean that understanding how terrible fire can be is a catalyst for people to be more careful around it? So have a think about what I said at the end of the text. Okay, once you can pause the screen and do those ones, and then we'll go through the answers. So, why does the author find the area of modern fire by multiplying the area of the old fire by 98? Because modern London is about 98 times larger than London in 1666. Here are your results for the table. So Camden, it was 246,000 people. The City was 9,400. Westminster was 123,800. Brent was 164,100. Hackney was 136,800. And Kensington and Chelsea and the other boroughs there were 372,300. And then your other answers. What does the word staggering tell you about what the author thinks of the size of a modern fire? The author thinks it's very large. It's amazingly, shockingly so. So it's amazingly and shockingly so large. So really, really, really big. And what does it mean that understanding how terrible a fire can be a catalyst for the people to be more careful around it? It means that understanding the speeds up the reaction change in people, spurring them on to treat fire with more respect and care. So it just means that if we understand it, we know how to react to it as well, and we respect it. Well done, Year 5. That's the end of your remote learning for reading skills. We're going to be looking at a text next week about the plague, which is very interesting, and you shall have an actual 3D teacher teaching you, not a voice over YouTube. Have a lovely Friday. Well done for all your home learning, and I'll actually see you on Monday. Bye.